Thank you all for coming out. Thanks to all of the fine candidates for Congress and for the state Senate seat for participating today. Thank you, Michael, for doing a great job, as always, facilitating and hosting and organizing. My name is John Ossoff. I'm one of these 18 candidates running in the special election to replace Mr. Price now that he has joined the cabinet. I was born and raised in Metro Atlanta, grew up in the 6th Congressional District in North DeKalb County, right in 30345 by North Lake Mall. Went to Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service, where I studied international relations. Worked on Capitol Hill for 5 years, specializing in defense and national security policy. And I learned a lot about how things get done in Congress, the legislative process, the process of congressional oversight, which holds the executive branch and government contractors accountable, and the importance of constituent service, which below the surface, with all of the high-profile partisan fights going on, is some of the most important work that your member of Congress does on your behalf, connecting veterans with the VA, connecting small businesses with the Small Business Administration, making sure that service members deployed overseas are getting what they need from the Department of Defense. And I saw all of this, but I also saw the many ways that Congress does not work. And I saw the gridlock, the partisanship, the corruption, the pettiness, and I ultimately decided to leave. So in 2012, I got a master's degree from the London School of Economics. And now I run a small business that produces documentary films specializing in anti-corruption and organized crime investigations for international broadcasters. We also produce frontline conflict reports. To give you a sense of the kind of work that we've been doing the last few years, we sent a crew to the front line in northern Iraq, where they embedded with an all-female infantry unit that was fighting ISIS on the front line. Some of these women had been captives of ISIS themselves and through unimaginable trauma. We're now taking up arms to take their revenge. We worked with the best local investigative journalist in the West African country of Ghana to secretly film more than 30 judges taking bribes, most of whom have been impeached and faced criminal charges. And this investigative work, holding powerful people accountable, has been the most rewarding of my work so far. But something changed in November. And while I had no plans to get back into politics anytime soon, I think that what is happening right now in Washington represents one of the most divisive and dangerous developments in modern American history. And so I began to think that perhaps I needed to get involved again, either taking the work that my company was doing, investigating corruption and applying that closer to home, or getting more involved in politics directly. And then I found out that Tom Price was going to vacate his seat. And of course, we all know how close the result of the presidential election was in this district. And the moment I set my heart on running was when I sat down with my mentor, Congressman John Lewis, and he encouraged me to run and said he would endorse me if I did, so I threw my hat in the ring. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind these last few months, but I am running a positive campaign that has to be about so much more than what we are against. It has to be about presenting a positive vision that is better, a vision for our own economic development, to turn Metro Atlanta into an economic powerhouse, to make it the Silicon Valley of the South, a vision for our country that recognizes that there are core values we share that can unite us, that now are at risk of abandonment, and that we can only become stronger and more prosperous and more secure if we stay true to those values, if we stay true to our commitments to keep our water and air clean, to continue to build a public school system that we can be prouder of, that will allow our young people to thrive, to hold everyone in Washington accountable, regardless of party, rooting out waste and fraud and abuse. These are not partisan issues. The way it works right now, neither oversight committee in the Senate or the House, whether under Democratic or Republican control, does its job because it's become so partisan. And the people have seen it. What we learned in November is that there is a crisis of confidence in American politics. The answer is to go to Washington and hold those institutions and those leaders accountable and regain the public trust. And that's what I hope to do with your help. The campaign's goal, I should be very clear, is not to get into a runoff. We will be ready to fight a runoff if we need to. But our collective goal has to be to win this election outright on April 18th. And the polls are already open. We can do it together. And I would